Yes, Osma.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, Jacob. We're just going to, well, we're just waiting on our guest speakers, but for now we can introduce today's live. So today we're going to, basically we're doing lives weekly for Autism Awareness Month, and we have a final today. So looking forward to that. And Race and Usmax are coaching or collaborating to support Autism Awareness Month and share first-hand experience and stories from the community and how we can all work together for a more inclusive society. In today's live, we're going to have Sarah from Special Olympics and Galia, who's working on a very beautiful project that she will share with the audience shortly. But for now, we'll just wait for them.
Yeah, thank you, Osma. I think we can start with. I can see the speakers are arriving, so after permission, I'll just let them in.
Sure.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Galia. Hi, good to see you. All right, Osma, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So, Galia, we just had a brief introduction about the lives that we have been conducting weekly between Race and Usmaxa Coaching, and today is our final for Autism Awareness Month, and you're our guest speaker today. So we're really excited to have you on board. Welcome on board. We just want to really introduce you, and then we just let you carry on discussing the project that you've been working on because we're excited to find out more information on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Perfect. So, Galia, you have helped students of special needs to achieve employment and pursue higher education. Is that right?
Yeah, we've been working on a few different projects. It's recently been launched, but honestly, we've been doing amazing things at this point to help achieve these goals.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I was reading about the article. I looked at the article in the National, correct? And
Yeah,
it's an amazing initiative, really. And I just would like you to share the name of the project with our viewers today and what the project entails.
yeah, sure. So the name of the project is Peepability. So what we try to do in Peepability, so me and my unified partner, whose name is Eliazia, what we try to do is we collect unified peers like us, and then we collaborate with different entities and universities to bring for them, for example, internship opportunities or volunteering opportunities or just workshops in general. So our current theme has been like healthcare, and for example, one healthcare entity has has collaborated with us to give like out 50 internships. So that's amazing. And then we have on the side also with Special Olympics a volunteering screening opportunity and a workshop with another university. So it's been amazing with the amount of students that we were able to get from such a young age in like high school to expose them to inclusion and how to work with one another, but also offering such big and amazing opportunities for them.
Yeah, that's great. Really, that's such an interesting initiative, and providing the opportunity, in a unified way is such a beautiful way of doing that. I love the initiative. And Sarah, welcome on board. It's so good to have you here.
Okay.
And Sarah is from Special Olympics. Sarah, if you could just introduce yourself,
Thank you very
um,
much.
yeah, and just
Um,
mention, how the connection you have with this project as well. Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Um, so my name is Sarah Satrawi. I work with the Special Olympics in the Department of Youth Engagement and empowering youth, whether they're athletes at the Special Olympics or unified partners like Ghalia here with us today. Um, in a nutshell, what I do or what I try to do in every program is create more people like Ghalia. So developing youth and giving them the opportunity and platform to make the impact that they see fit based on their reality, based on their environment and community that they're a part of. So we try to step away from us Special Olympics executing what we think is right or what we at the office operate on more of a, let's say, agency level. So we work with schools, we work with partners and shaping and rolling out strategies. But my favorite part of what I do is empowering youth and giving them the experience that they can lead the change and be the difference in the future that we hope to be more inclusive.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. And this is how you guys got together, yeah? So this is how project is it Generation Z? Can I call it, or Peepability? Peepability, yeah?
Yeah.
Capability, yes.
Capability, how you got together with Special Olympics. That's great. And can you just please explain how you connect students to, I mean, you mentioned that through work, through organizations, through universities, for example. I mean, how is it really, how is this project inspired? What you and your unified partner, how did you come up with this idea?
So honestly, we couldn't have done it without Sarah. She's been like a very huge part of this. And honestly, we just kind of like brainstormed ideas. We kind of researched and we got to talk to people, which I feel like is such an important part to see like what's the main thing that we really want to work on. And especially us as high school students, we are currently building our college applications, and then we will go through the work process. So then we kind of thought in that aspect, how are we going to help people in our age um, overcome these struggles with us, which I thought was a very important part of the project. And then after that, we kind of talked to Special Olympics about it. Our school wasn't necessarily very supportive about it, which why I love Special Olympics so much is because they backed us up, even though the school wasn't really fond of the idea. So that's when then we talked to Sarah, and then we kind of executed the plan. And then we have like our weekly meetings to just like catch up on everything. So we me and my team, we would do the work, and then that team like slowly got bigger and we got more students involved, and it was really nice to see that. And then once we finished like a project or finish a task, we would show it to Sarah, and then Sarah would give us these like feedback that also help us a lot, especially like more professionally, which I haven't experienced, but through Peopleability, I've honestly learned a lot. I've not just helped people, but it's been an experience for myself too.
Wow, that's amazing. So Sarah, it's more like can I say more like mentoring the students? Is that how you've been collaborating?
Um, the way we want to scale this up is we're trying to empower teachers in schools so that they can take this role instead of Sarah at the Special Olympics. There are so many people, and I'm just one person. We cannot reach every Ghalia and every Yazia in their schools. So, what my role is now is to create more of this kind of mentorship or support system from within the school so that teachers are able to identify unified pairs and bring them together and then help them come up with a project and execute it based on their experience and abilities as well. And like Ghalia said, it's the way I see it is it's like giving a 15 to 18-year-old student the experience to be a CEO for a little while. They get to recruit their own team, they get to come up with their own plans, they get to fail and make mistakes and call partners and sign MOUs or write press releases, and it's all that are things that they'll do in the future. So instead of having them start it at a job or start it even at university, they can start it at a younger age where they're building the experience, where it's okay to make mistakes. There are less consequences. And it's the right time for you to build on these skills and build this network as well, that, like Ghalia said, can even help you in your applications to universities or whatever you choose to do in your future.
Absolutely. What a beautiful way of like empowering the youth. And I know that's what you mentioned in the beginning. You're very passionate about that. So I can see
Yeah.
that with the work you're doing. And I honestly, I believe it's not just the academics at this point, it's the life skills that you're introducing. And it's okay to fail and then get up again. And the consequences, like you mentioned, are not as, as severe. That's great. I mean, I can see, Special Olympics had such a crucial role to play in this project, and that's beautiful to see that. I mean, what other projects do you have in mind for the future? What other things can you do to develop and grow these beautiful initiatives?
Yeah, I think it's a journey that we've been through. So step one was exploring or doing a pilot with Ghalia's team. And then step two is where we're at now. We're scaling it. We have over 85 clubs but this is outdated. I think 85 clubs in January. We need to recalculate and see. I think we reached around 150 by now, and we're looking at doubling it next year. So, learning from what Ghalia experienced and my role with her, how can we replicate it in every single school in the UAE? Step three would be building a competition around this, so we can bring in corporates, we can bring in even investors to come in, look at what these youth are doing, and they can pitch their project, pitch their idea, and eventually not necessarily just have it run in a, let's say, a timeline or time framed kind of manner, but a sustainable way where they're backed up by a sponsor or by a corporate that can adopt them from that young age throughout the delivery of their experience, and potentially starting their own social impact entity through it. So this is the long-term vision for the initiative that we're working on now, but that is the dream.
That's beautiful. And how did you guys connect? I mean, that's something I should ask in the beginning, but I'm asking now, how did you guys connect?
It's really random. We have Unified Robotics. My colleague Khawla, she manages the Unified Robotics competition. And in was it 2020, صح, Ghalia? It was
I
2020.
think it was 2021.
Yeah, it was December to January between these 2 years. And I remember I was on vacation and I came back, and the day before I came back, my colleague asked me, she was like, listen, we have the awarding ceremony. There's this very cool student that's going to MC the event. Would you want to MC it with her? I was like, I don't know her, and I don't know. I just came back from holiday. I don't know much, but sure, why not? I love working with youth. Like I said, it's just something that it fills me up with energy. So that's how I met Ghalia. We were just two random people doing a master of ceremony as a master of ceremony for one event, and then we just stayed in touch. We exchanged contacts, we stayed in touch, and every program I rolled in leadership I made sure Ghalia knows about, and this is the one that she picked up and felt connected with. She was also a competitor in the Unified Robotics. That's how she met her partner, Ghal Eliazia, where they're now working together on this. So it's a really well connected journey that Special Olympics draws from sports, robotics, whatever your interest is. You'll find something to be inclusive in with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've experienced that, so I can really say that Special Olympics has played a huge part also in my life with my children, with the robotics competition,
It's a
etc. So I
beautiful
really,
program.
it is absolutely. I love it. I really do. I mean, at this point, really, Jacob, if you have any questions, because I'm just mesmerized with the whole, the project and the work that Special Olympics is doing with the youth, and the opportunity they're providing for, special need children and adults at large. So I'm really I'm blown away with the work you guys do. It's beautiful, it really is.
Thank
If you
you.
Thank
have any questions, Jacob.
Oh, thank you, Isma. And yes, absolutely, a pleasure to meet you, Sarah and Ali, and thank you as well. I've heard you mentioning this robotic program or project or competition. I'm not sure. Personally, I'd love to know more about it, and probably the audience as well.
Sure. So robotics is one of the pillars that were introduced in 2019. The UAE is the first country after the US to roll out this program, and it's a competition that we promote it through schools because it's a big network of schools that we have. So we each school would have at least one team that they would join in a unified pair, just like Ghalia did with her partner. And then there are a set of challenges that they have to do in terms of coding and moving, for example, a train from point A to point B, and you have to code it. I'm sure Ghalia can tell you more about the platform, but overall, it's about bringing people together with different abilities through a challenge. And then the platform itself has a ranking. And there are also a group of judges we have from our partners like KPMG, where they would attend the final competition where the finalists make it. And then we'd have a judging ceremony and an awarding ceremony following. Galia, maybe you can tell us more about your experience playing with the
Yeah.
platform.
So I've been in the past 2 seasons of Unified Robotics, and honestly, it's been amazing. It's how I got introduced to Special Olympics and to my unified partner. And I mean, it opened so many doors afterwards. This Unified Robotics was really cool because what we had to do is, as Sarah said, we would pair up and then we would make a team of four, and then there would be like certain skills. We would do a presentation, we thought of how to win the creativity. So we thought, oh, we could create our own logo. On competition day, we could wear our own shirts that has our logo. And we just thought of different ways to win each award, because each award wasn't, there was just one award about the technical coding, and then the rest were very inclusive, like for example, which team was most inclusive, which one has the best creativity. So I really like that they checked like all the boxes, and it wasn't just like the coding part. So that's something that really stood out to me in this competition, and also like getting to work with people I've never met before. um, and honestly, my team was amazing both seasons. I've had two different teams, and it was a really nice experience. And even though I've been in it for the past two seasons, I would probably be in it in the next one too.
Nice. Thank you very much. Wow. And maybe a follow-up question, Raya, then. So you've said all the great things about Unified Robotic. What were the main challenges you met there?
I would say the main challenge was first, some of the team members were a bit shy and reserved, maybe. So, like, kind of having like some icebreakers and just like getting to know one another took a bit of time until we got into the project. And I feel like that's something to focus on in the challenge. And also, sometimes everyone has different abilities, so you kind of have to know, like I've been the leader in the team, so I had to know, for example, when to, for example, wait and pause for everyone to get back in track and then continue on to the next mission. And it's just really knowing how to work in a team and know that not everyone is going to be as slow or as fast or as the same abilities as you will have or your other team members will have.
True, true, wonderful. Wow. I do really congratulate you for that. And I reckon and second what Sarah said, giving you the opportunity to be your own CEOs at this age. So absolutely wonderful. Osma?
Yeah, no, I mean, what comes to my mind is just the opportunity that students with special needs are now, gaining with being around other children as well, and the skills both ways, not just the children with special needs, both ways, the neurodivergent, neurotypical, there's a mix here, and you're bouncing ideas back and forth, and you can be gaining skills and learning something new from them, and they vice versa, right? So that's something that really it's beautiful to see how you're doing that, because it's so important to, like you said, have this inclusive society and work together, and you're showing that and demonstrating that daily with the work you're doing. So I really applaud you on that one. That's great. And Sarah, I mean, mashallah, to be her mentor, and to support her meeting weekly, is something. It's great to be doing that. I mean, what kind of things are you doing when you're meeting weekly? You said you're meeting and you're looking over things, but what else are you doing to support the youth when you meet them?
Um, Aside from working with unified pairs like Ghali and Liazi, we also have something in the Special Olympics called the Youth Council. And this Youth Council consists of 11 individuals with and without intellectual disabilities. With the Youth Council, it's a little bit different because they're different ages, different social backgrounds, different abilities as well. So we try to meet once a month. And in our meetings, it's either social, where we would play games and get to know each other. And all of the neurotypical students or youth in that circle never really worked with people with intellectual disabilities. So it's all of them is their first time. So it's just watching them realize how much value they're gaining, how much they're learning. And sometimes in some of the workshops or in our monthly meetings, I'd have one of the neurodiverse students present something or teach the rest of the group something else. So we had, for example, Sheikha, one of our athletes, she would teach them how to present and how to public speak. And many of them had that the concern, or they would be nervous on stage, or they wouldn't know how to present in public. So having Sheikha, a person with Down syndrome, inspire so many people to gain confidence, to breathe correctly, to stand in a different posture, use the right words. It's a lot of it's really beautiful to see how we're all learning from each other. Like Ghalia said, it's not something that goes one way, and the world is not really a full picture with full colors if you just exclude a lot of people out of it. And I think something I've seen in all the different methods that we use, I work on empowering youth, giving them space to be creative in every program. I use the same formula, let's call it, in everything I do, whether inside or outside Special Olympics. And one thing I've noticed here is that I have a lot of faith that when Ghalia or Amal or Fatma or whoever youth we're working with grow up and choose to be anything they want to be, whether they're entrepreneurs, politicians, chefs, teachers, having the experience of have worked with person with intellectual disabilities, being comfortable around them, knowing the value that they can bring to the table, means wherever they become in the future, they would have that at the back of their mind. They would know better than I did maybe when I first got started my career. I wasn't always in the inclusion industry. So working with people with intellectual disabilities, it was difficult in the beginning because it's not something I'm familiar with. It's not something that I was aware of in school. We weren't even told that students around us had intellectual disabilities, right? So it was a stigma. It wasn't something that we've experienced. So this is something that I'm noticing, that these kids, one of the youth council members currently, she works in Siemens, and in her company, they're working on recruiting people with intellectual disability. And it was a strategy she rolled out because she was part of this council. So you can see the impact. It's really just opening people's eyes, giving them that spark inside and a purpose, and they will run with it. It's just human nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with what you've said. And what tips, Sarah, would what tips and advice would you give to other education institutes or learning centers that support learners with special needs?
Mm-hmm. I think schools here are really doing their best, especially the ones that we're working with. We're working around with almost 500 schools we've reached so far, in different ways, not just leadership. We have the sports, we have the whole school engagement events and things like that. And I've noticed that there is a will, there is the wanting to do so, but there is a lot of not knowing how. And this is where people stop, right? I want to do it. I understand why it's important, but when I don't have the right tools, when I don't know the how, that's when it gets discouraging a little bit. But inclusion in education is something that inclusion in general is something that we're all new to. It's not something that's always existed. So it's fine to make mistakes. It's okay to ask questions as long as you're trying. Sometimes you can learn from your students as well. Like I meet Ghalia frequently, and I learned so much from her and her team because they're on ground, they're experiencing it. I'm sitting in an office creating programs that I get my epiphanies and my sudden realizations of this program would be great if we add this to it, mostly from conversations I have with students. So I think my advice would be for the teachers and educators is to just open the conversation, facilitate that space where students feel safe to speak up. They feel trusted enough to run with projects and create them. Like Ghalia mentioned earlier, her school maybe wasn't very supportive. And that's one of the reasons I was like, fine, you know what? I believe in Ghalia's project so much. It's not going to die. It has to happen somehow. So it's just putting the faith in the students and facilitating the conversation. It's all that it takes. It's just that starting point to see the magic.
Yeah, the first step, and then you can see what happens. That's great. What future plans do you have at Special Olympics in mind?
Like I mentioned earlier, we do want to include more corporate private sector in this, because currently with schools, we've seen a great success. But one of the biggest challenges that Ghalia realized after her research is what happens after high school, right? Inclusion in the education system exists right now, mostly recently actually in primary, middle, or high school. But then what happens later on? The athletes that we have at Special Olympics that made it to university, it was a battle that their parents had to maybe quit their job and just be in an office, in a meeting, in a ministry every single day to sort of carve that path for their son or daughter. So how can we make this more systematic? How can we bring the private sector more into this so that maybe higher education is not for everyone, but there is vocational training. There are positions and jobs, just like robotics. people with intellectual disabilities show exceptional abilities in coding or in auditing and paying attention to numbers and things that maybe neurotypical person wouldn't. So it's just elevating everyone's understanding of, it's not something I'm doing as a charity. I'm not doing anyone a favor by being inclusive. I am winning. It's everyone wins in this scenario. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the next step after high school. So when Ghalia goes to university, how can we make sure her environment is continues to become inclusive?
Yeah, absolutely. And Galia, in this, I mean, this question really leads on to what could you do to make that happen? You know, what plans would you have in mind to incorporate that?
So I honestly, because before starting a capability or unified robotics, like when I started unified robotics, this was my coach. Like I was good in math and computer science, so she was like, okay, you can join this competition. But then that kind of opened the door of inclusion to me, and I was very new to it, and I didn't know what it meant at first. I didn't even know the word. So just like how I got to know about inclusion and how I can help and how I came up with capability once I was very passionate about it, I would hope that in the future I continue to inspire people to not just create projects or things like that, but just to be inclusion and be aware of it. Because once everyone is aware of it, then we would have that inclusion community that we really hope to achieve. So it's just getting educated about it, knowing about it, being aware, and then in the long run, once we do, I feel like it would be a much better society, honestly. And I could see that, for example, in my teams that I've worked with, in the different people that we've paired up with, in, for example, the internship opportunity, in the workshop. Some of the neurotypicals that came into these different opportunities weren't very aware, but once they started to get to know their partner, they became friends. And we could see that especially in the virtual assessment that me and Sarah conducted just last week. We could see people really clicking, and it was really amazing to see that new people of different abilities are now getting to click. So that was something that was really inspiring to see.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Giving the opportunity and then allowing them to continue maintaining that relationship. And I think not having the barriers really, and that's what you've done. You've removed the barriers and given the opportunity to everyone. And that's absolutely beautiful. I mean, in terms of work, in terms of a workplace and workforce, what preparation might they need? Because you mentioned corporate level as well, and what would they need in terms of being prepared?
We do offer, as Special Olympics, we do offer consultancy. We could review the policy. We deliver trainings to how to make the team, like do's and don'ts, etiquettes to working with people with intellectual disabilities. There's a lot of training that we do for the team and for the senior management in terms of policy changes and shifts. And we also train the athletes, making sure that they're gradually integrated based on their capacity, not just thrown in a job where they're expected to work 8 or 9 hours a day, just like an average hours day, but to customize it and be flexible in it. We also, however, like after doing this for a while, I realized, maybe it's just my opinion, but it's evident that it's just every human's need to just be flexible, to provide a unique experience, is not just exclusive to people with intellectual disabilities or people with determination. Everyone needs accommodating in a certain way. Everyone needs integration in a certain way. So it's just understanding that it's understanding that it's a process and it's a journey that everyone learns from and everyone benefits from in the process. So I think the things that we offer for companies who are maybe listening and interested in this, we can consult you, and it's all free of service, because in the end we are an NGO and we're very, very well supported by the leadership here in the UAE to make this happen. So whatever it takes, whatever anyone needs, we're there to support. But I think we've had multiple success stories with multiple companies here, and people are able. It's not that, like, peopleability is what I love this project, because people are able, and that name really wraps it up. When universities or partners meet soon, inshallah, this summer, they'll get to meet the students Ghalia is preparing, and that's just Ghalia preparing them. All I do is check her framework, make sure it's following the right criteria for us. So if Ghalia can prepare people for internships, then imagine what recruiters, HR specialists can do for their own companies. And like she said, I really love echoing her because again, I learned a lot from Ghalia. It's some things you can do on a daily basis. It's not a massive, drastic change that you want to make the world more inclusive. It's just a different language that you use or a different approach that you have with people, being more tolerant, being patient, and accepting of others. It's an accumulation of all of that collectively that makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just starting at early in the early intervention stage. It's really continuing for the adults then and moving on. And like you said, just those small accommodations, put them in place, small measures that can benefit everyone. And
Yeah,
I love I love what you've just said about that because that's so important. I mean, really, this just it sums it all up for me. It sounds doable. It sounds simple. It's just implementing it now. And
yeah.
we need more Galias, right? That's what we need. We need more Galias out there and creating this change for the youth and empowering them and allowing them to believe in themselves that this is possible.
Exactly. And I wanna maybe ask you both, you and Ghalia, and even Jacob, how would you imagine the world being if every student was Ghalia or every student had a partner like Ghalia? What would the world look like in 20 years?
I can just say one thing, the world would be a better place.
I would
Absolutely.
Well,
probably
yes, Alia, go ahead.
I would probably say that it's probably not just me. With my work, it came from like a team effort, and that's like what I really wanted to highlight. My team has helped me a lot, like for example, in the small things and even in the big things, like um, in every process of the way they've been helping me, and we have like the people who handle the social media and the marketing, and sometimes not sometimes, actually every time and every single thing I do, I feel like without a team and without people's opinions and also listening from neurodiverse students, you can't really take a step forward.
Yeah. So including them and hearing their voice, really listening to what their needs are is really important before we start advocating for them or on behalf of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Jacob, would you
Yeah,
like to? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like Sarah, I can't even, I can't, neglect what you're doing, to be honest. But I'm just going back to your question now. Yeah, if we have more Ghalia, I believe that, if with one Ghalia, yes, we can do all that. And Ghalia can absolutely, she's pointed this out. Um, with more Ghalia, I think we will have, well, I'm just imagining the world now, Galia, with a lot of you. But yeah, definitely a better world when it comes to education. And you've mentioned, you both mentioned diversity and, and with inclusion. That's definitely the way forward. And what we're trying really to do is, I mean, Uzma here is probably one of the pioneers as well. Uh, we've what we're trying to do is absolutely pushing forward towards that goal. Give all the support that we can, give to Alia, to you, Sarah, to Uzma, and yes, you mentioned it as well, Sarah. It takes all of us together really to move forward, and what you said, to get the full picture of the world, it just takes everybody to be included.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think doing the work now, we definitely will see the benefits later. Um, Definitely start early with the children, start very, very early, talk about inclusion, educate them, and just bring that awareness in at the beginning for them. And then, I mean, we have youth now Ghalia's level, making that change happen. So it's become a reality, which is beautiful. But thank you guys. I mean, this has been, we can ask many more questions and really carry on this conversation further. It's just been a pleasure. It's honestly been a pleasure having you on board today and sharing your experience and your project, which is such a beautiful project. I wish you all the best, Galia, Sarah. You've just phenomenal work with the youth. Carry on. This is what we're here for, and I really appreciate your time today, your input, and it's been a pleasure to actually meet you in person, Galia, well, virtually, to see what you're doing, because I have read the article and kind of followed up, a little bit about what you're doing. So just getting a deeper insight today has been so beneficial for us, and I'm sure the viewers too. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. And Jacob,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, Khalia. And maybe one last words from our guest, just for the whole world.
Yeah, sure. Kali, you want to start?
Sure. So my last words is, as Sarah and I said, it's the little things that you do. So make sure to do like small changes in your day-to-day life to spread the word of inclusion around the world. And then once you do and everyone does, then our world will be inclusive.
That's beautiful.
I think Alia said it all, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And I want to thank you guys for creating such spaces where people can hear about Ghalia's story and the journey that Special Olympics is providing for youth. And yeah, thank you for making the time and the space. And I hope we get to maybe not even 20, maybe 5 to 7 years, we could meet again and discuss how this journey of leadership development for inclusion, for peace, for the environment, whatever cause that we're working towards, including youth and supporting them, and that their own growth always results in an impact. So thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your time. And I know it's almost iftar time, so thank you for being on board. And now we can wrap it up here. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.